In today's gospel, we see something very important that Jesus is drawing to our attention, the need to make time for prayer. Even when we're very, very busy, that's the lesson that I want us to focus on today, is that even when we're very busy, no matter how busy we are in life, we need to make time to pray. Listen to how busy Jesus was in today's gospel. It says, quote, "As soon as Jesus left the synagogue, they went to Simon's house. His mother-in-law was sick in bed with a fever, and immediately Jesus healed her." So coming from the synagogue, he goes home. Mother-in-law is not well. He takes care of her. Then everyone began to bring other sick people because they noticed what he could do with sick people, and all those who were possessed by demons to Jesus, with the hope that Jesus would then heal them too. So now we've got this queue, this lineup building outside, and so I figure that's sort of like a rush hour experience happening in front of their door. It says, quote, "The whole city," not just 5 people, not just the neighbors, it says the whole city was gathered around that door. It's a lot of people outside your door. All of them are looking for Jesus, not just to say hello or something casual, can I borrow some eggs or some sugar or something like that, but they have an intention now. What? This man can heal? I've been suffering for years. Let's go there immediately. Imagine the panic and the chaos. People wouldn't just be standing around waiting, reading a book or something, waiting for this to happen in a peaceful lineup. There would have been a crowd pushing towards the door to get to Jesus. That's busy. That's busier than any restaurant that we've probably ever been to, and you know how hard those people work. Imagine the commotion outside that house. I'd see it like this mob pressing in on the door to try and get time with Jesus. Amongst all the busyness, then we hear how, quote, "Early the next morning, while it was still very dark, Jesus got up and went to a deserted place to pray." Amongst all that chaos, that busyness, Jesus got up extra early, even when it was still dark, by himself and went to make time to pray. Even amongst all this busyness, the very demanding lifestyle that time, Jesus made time to pray. This is Jesus. This is the Son of God making time to pray. If he takes the time to pray, we should take the time to pray. Even the Messiah, the Son of God, the third person, or the second person in the Trinity, he's taking time to pray. If Jesus needs time to pray, that should open our eyes to our desperate need to pray, especially when we are busy. Jesus knew that the source of his strength, his power, came from God the Father's. That's where our strength comes from as well. Jesus teaches us today, he reminds us amid our busyness that we must pray always, especially when we're busy, stressed, and overwhelmed. Regardless of the chaotic schedule that may be happening or the chaos in our life, the emergencies in our life, Jesus took the time to pray, and so should we. Whenever we feel that our life's responsibilities may be crowding in around us the way that the crowds gathered around Simon's house, it is important to take time to pray. Even when we feel pressed up against the wall with our responsibilities, we don't know how we're going to get everything done. Jesus reminds us, take the time to pray. That is where I get my strength. That is where you and I will find our strength. Notice how we hear how Simon and the other disciples, quote, hunted for Jesus. That was the word, hunted for Jesus. Imagine the panic when they can't find them and more people are coming the next morning to see Jesus. They're looking for Jesus with great anticipation, great anxiety. While he was away praying in the early morning and it was still dark outside, upon finding Jesus praying, guess what they said to him? They said, "Everyone is searching for you." I can hear the gasp. "Everyone's searching for you. What are you doing? What are you doing?" Almost to say like, what are you doing praying? We need you. Now is not the time to pray. Don't waste your time with that. There's tons of people with urgent needs, life-threatening needs outside of Simon's door. Come quickly. Because they were probably running, right? Sometimes we too can feel like there's so much to get done in our busy lives that taking the time for prayer may seem like a waste of time. We may even think that, I don't have time to pray. I just got to get this done. Don't be tempted by that. Jesus took the time to pray when there was life-threatening situations. It's important to take the time to pray, even if it's a short time of prayer. Prayer may be the first thing that we start to cut out of our busy schedules, our lives, when we are stressed, when we are anxious, when the needs around us and our responsibilities are pressing in on us. We feel like we need to deal with the chaos and other demands, relying solely on our own strength, saying, don't worry, I don't need God, I can deal with that myself. No, we can't. We need God then more than ever. Jesus teaches us and models for us the need to make the time to prayer amidst our busyness and stress, even when it's not a long time of prayer. Even when we get interrupted by others in that time of prayer, that short time was worth it. If we get interrupted by, say, children, a spouse, work colleagues, or others, or a phone call, that short time was valuable and probably what we needed. Even if it means getting up early, say 30 minutes earlier to set aside a time of prayer. We heard how Jesus got up and went by himself to a deserted place, even when it was very dark outside, before everyone else was up. That's a suggestion to us that maybe if we get up a little earlier, 10 minutes earlier, 30 minutes earlier, maybe that's when we can carve out some time to be restored by God the Father. Jesus reminds us to always pray because our time, our talents, our gifts, our strengths, our abilities, everything comes from God the Father. He is the one that sustains our life. He is the one that will give us the strengths, the ability to face the responsibilities, the stresses, and the busyness that is currently overwhelming us. So our lesson today is to pray every day, to carve out time, even if it means getting up a little earlier, because that is where our strength comes from. And when we're really busy or overwhelmed, maybe that's when we need to pray twice.